Let's get this party started. All right, so welcome to the fifth session of Facebook Fundamentals. Glad to have you guys here. I'm going to apologize in advance. I have contracted the post-vacation plague, and I will attempt not to hack my way through this webinar. So if I sound I sound a lot less like a dude than I did yesterday, which is good. So today's session is a build upon what we got 2 weeks ago on session 4, which was how to choose the right ad and then how to get some targeting options available and kind of working for you. So there's a ton of stuff that I went through 2 weeks ago. So hopefully over the intervening time, you've had some time to kind of mess around with it, because coming out of today, you guys are going to know exactly how to build an ad so that it is constructed properly. You're going to understand all of the rules you need to follow. So there are some updated rules that are necessary for you guys to know about in order to make sure that your ad does not get disapproved or that your ad account does not get deactivated. So as per always, please let me know if you guys have questions. You can ask at any point in time. I do have the question box open. And then, of course, the recording will be sent out afterwards later on this afternoon. Okie dokers. So what are we going to cover today? We are going to show you, the Divine We, are going to show you how to ensure that your ad is approved. Okay, so again, there's lots of different laws and rules and stuff like that that you can get tripped up on, especially in the world of real estate. There is actually a housing policy that you must, when you're going to do, if you've never done an ad before, certainly about housing, or new listings or anything like that. Anytime you use the word house, home, condo, or anything like that, you're going to get this little box that's going to appear that might freak you out. And because it's asking you to verify that you are not violating the housing policies on Facebook. So we're going to talk about a little bit about what those are, but mostly if you follow what I'm talking to you about today, you will never be able to trip any of those wires. If you do ever see that box popping up and it says, can you make sure that you're not going to violate the housing policies? You can hit I certify that I will not, and then you're usually good. If you're curious as to what those policies are, there's a link there that you can open up and it'll explain to you what those policies are and specifically how to avoid them. And the other thing is, the reason why I say that is because this is Facebook. Facebook likes to change the rules all the time. That's why I will never be out of a job. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is rules for the content of the ad. Okay, so there's the written words that you use. This is 9 times out of 10 where you guys are going to get tripped up if you actually run into a situation where your ad is either not performing or you actually got disapproved. Okay, so I'll explain those, and then rules for photos, and then rules for videos. Again, I just want to say thank you so much to all of you that have put on those videos in that group. It takes a lot of courage to actually put yourself onto video. You get used to it after a while and it becomes kind of second nature. For those of you who are going, yeah, right, it's true. It can become second nature to be in front of a video camera. It just feels really weird the first little time. But one thing I will say about video is the videos and video ads do better than anything else. So the sooner you can get comfortable in front of that camera, the better. And remember the rule, if you don't like the way you look or the way you sound, shoot your video, don't watch it. Okay, get party started. So there are lots of different ad types that you can use, and then almost all of them can use either photos or videos or slideshows. There's also one called a carousel ad. I'm going to show you at that. So I'm going to go through my presentation, then I'm going to go live for a bit. When I go live, I'm going to show you a really cool strategy for any of you out there that have multiple listings. Okay, so when most people have a listing, they'll have 123 Main Street and they create an ad and they post it. And then they have 456 Main Street and they create an ad and they, put that out there. And so, especially if you're in a situation where you have multiple listings going on all the time, this multiple listing strategy I'm going to show you, I'm very excited about it, will be really, really helpful. So I like to kind of throw that stuff out to make sure all you guys stay all the way to the end. But photos, video, slideshows are available to be used on almost every single ad type. Okay, so what I'm now going to share with you are ways for you to ensure that your Facebook ad gets you the maximum views so that you can get the highest ROI for the lowest possible cost. And that's why I use Facebook for advertising almost exclusively as a platform for me, because I'm able to achieve those amazing results at a very, very low budget. So by frame of reference, we do not do SEO. So we do search engine optimization and pay-per-click advertising on Google. The minimum monthly ad budget for that is about between $1,250 and $1,500 a month. And especially in real estate where it's very, very competitive, you really do need to put that kind of a budget against it to really get somewhere in terms of ranking higher than your competitors. Conversely, on Facebook, my average budget for my clients is anywhere from $250 to $500 a month, and yet you can get the same or better results by using Facebook. So I love it, and hopefully by the end of today, you will too. So the first thing we're going to talk about is photos. Okay, uh, so the first word I just realized I've got the American spelling of color in there. I think I taught this in Indiana last. So you want to use red. Red is good. Red is your brand. Hoorah! So you want to have as much of that as possible. You want bright colors, so oranges, yellows, or high contrast. So that can be black and white. It could be dark blue and white. So if you're not into, gentlemen, if you're not into wearing a bright red suit, other than maybe at Christmas time, if you're pretending to be Santa, you can wear a beautiful, dark suit and just make sure that you're not standing on a dark background. So make sure that, again, if you are in the image, especially this also is going to apply in video, you just want to make sure that there is high contrast. You're going to want to be standing against a white background. So whatever it is that you're showing, if you're showing a picture of a home, make sure that the colors are super saturated. Okay, so and by saturated, you want them to be rich. You don't want to have a filter on it that makes it kind of washed out and look antique-y. I know they look cool, but they're like the death knell for the ad. Because as soon as you put a filter on an image that really desaturates the color, that's even a word, the algorithm then says, oh, well, you know what, it's not as bright, it's not as colorful, therefore no one's going to interact with it, so we're not going to show it as much. Okay, so you want bright colors. I've seen some really beautiful listings from some of you guys that have those really rich saturated colors, so really over-index on that without making it look cartoonish, obviously. The other thing that you can do is you can add some words onto your photo, and this can work for you, and I've seen it work, but you have to understand that there are some new rules. So there used to be the rule of 20% text on an image. So you could have up to and including 20% of your image that could contain text of any kind. So it's numbers, letters, and so on. There are now 4 categories, as you can see. So it's called okay, low, medium, and high, and I kid you not, those are the categories. Okay means there's no text at all, which means your ad will be shown to the absolute maximum number possible. Okay, so if you have 100,000 people in your potential reach, you could potentially reach all 100,000 of them. As you can see, the more text that you add onto your ad, the fewer people Facebook's going to show it to. This is Facebook's idea that people do not respond as well or as strongly to images that have text on them. So if you want to add text, say you will have, you want to put new listing or home for sale or open house or whatever, do try to minimize that as much as possible. Once you hit up to like the medium and certainly the high, Facebook's going to give you a warning message saying that your ad may not be shown. And that simply is because you have too much text. So if you ever get that message, it'll be a bright yellow message right at the end once you're finished creating your ad. It'll tell you, hey, wait a second, you do have too much text on your image. So you can go back and resize it, or you can go and take it out. But generally that's it. And this will also apply if you're running a boosted post. So if you remember, there's the boosted post or the post engagement ad we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. Then you can this whole no text on the image rule still applies. So you might have this amazing post that you want to boost, but if there's too many words on the image, you're going to get that error message, and they're going to say your ad will potentially not show. Okay, so try to minimize it. Your image, therefore, really kind of has to kind of sell what it is you're doing. So with listing ads, it's pretty obvious what it is because it's a house. But if you're doing an ad about anything else, like say you have some sort of a buyer's guide or a seller's report, or it could be something for downsizers or a millennial's guide to not screwing up your first home purchase, or like whatever it is. You really need to make sure that the image explains a little bit part of the story for you. So just sort of keep that in mind. And I've got some examples I'll be sharing with you in a little bit. In terms of the actual words you should use, you want to use words that they're called power words. And what I'm going to do after today is I'm going to, in the group, I'm going to put a link to a blog. So that they're called 317 power words. And I'm going to put that into the group so you guys can actually see a lot more than just the 4 or 5 you see on your screen. Power words make people do stuff: get, join, free, profit, success. And one of the things I find about sort of consumers that they really like is they'll respond to things like even some negative words like stress, because they don't want to have a stressful home buying experience or home selling experience. And so if you use words like that, like stress free, those are two power words, one negative, one positive, but together kind of conveys what it is that you're offering. Profit is another one, or equity, because a lot of realtors will just say, okay, like, what's your home worth? I want to find out what your home is worth. What you might forget, however, is that there's actually two parts. I mean, you guys don't forget this. What am I saying? Anyway, one thing to spell out to your clients or your prospects is that it's not just what your home is worth, or it's not just what's on the market. It's those two pieces of information combined, which will explain to you how much equity you're going to have at the end. What profits are you going to see? Nobody wants to, sell their house and buy something a heck of a lot more expensive, unless they're moving up, which is obviously kind of hard to avoid. But generally speaking, they want to either minimize, if they are moving up, they want to minimize that increase, or if they're downsizing, they want to maximize that profit. So when you use words like that, and you can use words like that if it's even a new listing ad that you're doing, but definitely if any other kind of messaging that you're trying to put out there, really try to get into someone's head and say, and look at this blog that I'm going to share with you and say, what are the words that people kind of go, yes, I love that, right? And again, the 5 that you see here are the top ones that I have used that have found to be extremely powerful and very action orientated. The other thing, and I think if you remember from the presentation I made a couple weeks ago now, actually over a month ago, because I know you guys remember everything I said in those 2 hours, you want to avoid using words like you and your if you are using them as a descriptor. So like, are you a millennial? Are you thinking of selling, right? Those kinds of things will get you in a whole pile of trouble. And a whole pile of trouble means they're not just going to not approve your ad, they're going to deactivate your account. And you just don't want that to happen, because it's really quite painful to try to get that back. I had a situation where they changed the rules on us, and an ad we've been running for 4 months suddenly got not only unapproved, but it got deactivated the whole account, and we had to actually close down the entire ad account, build a whole new ad account. And even then, because it was tied to the page, we ran into some problems for several weeks. It finally cleared, but let me tell you, you don't want to go through that. Okay, so try to avoid any descriptors. You can use things like, I'm going to send you something, right? That's okay. That's not a descriptor. But when you're using it as a categorizer or as a descriptor, that's where you're going to get in trouble. So just try to avoid it. It does take a little bit of wordsmithing to figure out how to reword stuff, but you can do it. And again, I offer this to all of you guys. You can either post it directly into the group, or you can privately message me an ad that you're thinking of doing, and then I can take a look at it and help you out, because again, I write ads all day long. I write them in my sleep, literally. Oh yes, I have such fun dreams. Okay. The next thing you want to be clear on is expectations. This is actually a new rule that Facebook has introduced over the past couple of months, and they're like militant about this thing. So, an example was, you can see there, sort of click below and I'll send you this free ebook. You say that as opposed to click below and get this free ebook. So even though get is a power word, you can't say that, because unless they're clicking on that button and immediately getting it, like they don't have to fill in a form, right? Which you want people to do, especially if you're going to use a lead ad. you want to gather their information. You have to be really clear on exactly how you're going to deliver this information and what people need to do. Okay, so Facebook's algorithm has been rewritten to not only track what you say, but once people click on that ad and go to wherever you're sending them, whether it's to a lead ad form or whether it's to a landing page or your website, it reads the words on your website, and it will very quickly tell whether or not you have done something that they consider misleading. And that's what happened with that one client of mine where we got deactivated. It says we had wording that was very similar, but Facebook deemed them not to be similar enough, and it was deemed to be misleading, and we got kiboshed. Okay, so be really crystal clear in your ad and wherever you're sending them to, what it is people are going to get and how it is they're going to get it. The other thing, which is kind of leads on to this, is kind of the same idea that if you are using a landing page, and a landing page could be a sort of a standalone website page. I use a system called Instapage. There's also lead pages as well, or it could be your website. Okay, whether you're doing it that or you're using a lead ad, and there's like that little intro. If you remember, there's that little intro part at the top of the lead ad where you can add some details. Your ad copy and that copy, landing page or the intro screen of your lead ad, must be extremely close to each other. Because again, if they're not, Facebook will deem you to be misleading. If you have been deemed to be misleading, it is painful, horrible, and you get deactivated, and no good really comes of it. So keep that in mind, that when you are creating an ad and then you're sending people somewhere else, that you make sure that the ad and the landing page are pretty well identical. You can add a little bit more. What I like to do is make my ad really simple and then add a little bit more extra stuff to the landing page, but kind of along the same line, so at least there is that match. So this is an example of a lead ad that I run. This is I ran it last year in Toronto, and so this is for a brokerage. So for the managers in the group, because I know that you are here with us. This is something that shows you how you can use the same strategy that I'm teaching today to all of the agents in a ways that can also be profitable to your brokerage. So again, what we're looking at here is power words. If you look at that top copy, it's short, it's sweet, it's got power words. So it's also using words that are very relevant and immediately identifiable to the target audience. So what you want people to do is you want them to lean in. You want people to kind of go, oh, I ascribe to this. This is something that belongs to me, right? So when this is targeted towards realtors, words like listings will work. We've got the market is on fire and you should be too. And then we've got the clear demarcation of what's going to happen. Click below and I'll send you a free copy. Very clear. On the bottom on that headline, those little square brackets are really important. They significantly improve response rates if you kind of put what you're going to give them in brackets. So whether it's a report, a guide, or whatever, free guide. And then I use the words list to last because, excuse me, those words are extremely relatable to anyone in real estate. Any real estate agent will know what list to last means. Okay, so we've got a bright image, we've got happy outcomes, and so on. Hang on a second, I just got a cough. Sorry, I'm back. Okay, so we've got power words, strong statements, setting of expectations, bright, happy person. Okay, so again, she's a beautiful redhead. This image actually works really, really well. I got it off iStock. And she shows someone who could be a realtor. So she's in her kitchen, but she's got her laptop. And you guys work everywhere, right? And often in people's homes. So this, again, so you could relate to that image. And again, that message underneath the headline where it's the truth, get more listings now. It shows immediacy and it shows delivery. So this particular ad works really, really well from a recruiting perspective. But if you just deconstruct it into its individual parts, it's very simple copy, bright image, strong headline, little bit of text underneath, and then we're all good to go. So that's why this particular one is good. This next one is also one that I did for Yep, this is actually was also a brokerage one. I'm going to show you another one because I meant to put in an additional one in here to actually show one for agents. But again, if you look at the structure, and that's really what I wanted you guys to take away. I didn't want to give you ads that you would just sort of like copy and paste and run away with. But I wanted to give you a template that you could follow that was clear. So again, we have some words in here that are also in caps. You can put some of the words in caps. That can be really really good at drawing the eye towards keywords. Obviously, you can't put the whole thing in caps. That would be bad. However, if you put some key things, like if you, for instance, new listing could be in all caps. It could be the neighborhood or the city that could be in all caps. Whatever you feel people would be able to instantly relate to, you can think of putting those words into caps as well. So the difference between the one before and this one is this one also asks a question. So you got to be really careful with questions because you can't use the word you. So still, the top one is Toronto recently voted as hottest market in the world. So how do realtors get new listings? And so just again, asking questions is good because people are like, if they relate to that, again, if you're a realtor, you'll say, oh, okay, I can relate to that. And you start thinking, and then you draw them in with your offer. So the 3 keys to getting new listings, and then so on. So the black and white image obviously has no color in it, but it's very, very high contrast. Oh, good, Heather's here. Hooray! Hooray, hooray, hooray. I'm so glad. And again, Heather, we'll do another test to make sure that that this doesn't happen again next week. Okay, so clear outcome, it's what agents want. So think about, so if you remember all the way back to the beginning when we talked about knowing your customer and understanding what keeps them up at night. Once you understand that, once you really get into their brains and get under their skin, the words that you're going to use here become very, very easy, right? So think about making, again, that list of what are their problems? What are the solutions that they're looking for? And do you have something? It could be a report, it could be a little ebook that you write, it could be a video that you're going to shoot, because I know you're all going to shoot videos now. And so what is it that you can give to them that would start them down the path of getting, that solution met? The thing you want to make sure of, obviously, you never want to do this. You never want to give them all the information all in the ad. Okay, and this especially goes for listing ads. So with listing ads, you want to give them enough information that they can kind of get somewhere, but not all of the information such that they won't need you. Okay, so one of my favorite things to do with lead ads is to do a listing ad, where again you have things like new home on the market. I try to avoid things like new listing because I worry that the word listing is industry speak as opposed to consumer speak, and you never want to do that because you kind of lose your audience. So you could be like new home on the market, and then your contact details, to get more information, you can call me right now. Or if you're using a lead ad and there's a learn more button like you see here, tell them, click learn more to book a showing or to get more information. And then if you want, you can add maybe a couple of bullet points, some really key things about the home that make it stand out, that or that people would really want to know. Something as simple as square footage or number of bedrooms. Does it have a pool? Is it close to schools, or is it in a good school district? So there's some key pieces of information you can put up there. Have a beautiful hero shot, beautifully color saturated image as the image there. If you have a video, that would be what would go in the middle there, and then wrap it up with a headline that could again contain whatever information you want. I am a big proponent of sticking pricing into ads. I know that is totally subjective though, so do whatever you want. I find that in that headline, if you do add pricing to your ads, that would be definitely somewhere where you would put it. Also, very, very important, and I know it's kind of probably a blinding flash of the obvious, is you're going to want to make sure that you put the location, either the neighborhood or at a minimum, the area, right? So whether it's, so I'm in Burlington, I could say this is a home in Millcroft, or I could say it's North Burlington. Okay, so you can kind of do those kinds of things, whatever you feel would be best for whatever the listing is that you're trying to sell. Okay, so and again, if you guys want to do this, you can create an example and send it to me, and then I can help you wordsmith it to make sure it's absolutely perfect. Okay, so videos. We love video. Woot woot. The thumbnail on your video has to abide by the same rules that I just shared with you previously about the number of text, the amount of text that you can put on the image. Even though almost no one sees this thumbnail because when videos show up in the newsfeed, they autoplay. It is still, you still have to pass those rules and show the show that you don't have that too much text on there. Wow, I don't know why that was having a hard time coming out of my brain. So the other cool thing about video, and this is a really neat, I don't know if you guys saw, but I posted into the group an article that I pulled from Ad Espresso, and it shows, I think it was like 16 different ad types. Excuse me. And then it had examples of the type and the structure of an ad that would work best depending on which ad type you were thinking of using. So I couldn't bring them all in here, obviously, but one that I thought was particularly cool was used in a video ad, using a thumbnail that would show whoever's in the video, so again, usually you guys, mid-action. So it could be, you're halfway through walking through a home, but it's almost like people are seeing you from behind, so that you're kind of drawing them into the home, or you're walking through the front door. And that is the thumbnail image that you choose, because people get curious. They're like, what's happening here? Like, what's this all about? And you draw them in. So it was a really interesting kind of an idea. And this is actually just a screenshot I took from that article. And this is the video that is showing someone mid-action. So there's some guy lifting weights, which everyone's like, what? There's a couple of other things you'll see here. So the call to action. This example here is a video being used in a page like ad, right? So this is the one on the left here. That's a page like ad. So if you want to grow your fan base and you want people to like your page, this is what your page like ad would look like. So the call to action again would be that. But again, if you were running a video for a different kind of an ad, the call to action is usually on the bottom right as opposed to the top right. It's only on the top right for page like ads, but that's what that call to action is. But the most important thing is to show something. So show something happening. Draw people in, make them interested. So your thumbnail doesn't have to be your logo or your team picture, which are great, but that's not what's going to make people interested. So remember, no one cares about you until you first show that you care about them, right? So, and in caring about them, you care about what they're interested in, and you want to draw them into your story. Okay, so once they are interested and they want to hear about your story, then you can talk about yourself. Okay, so just sort of keep that in mind. And with video, it's really important. I'm going to touch on that in just a second. Actually, I'm touching on this slide right after we talk about wearing red. Yo! So if you possibly can, ladies, it's a little bit easier for us to wear, red blouse or red shirt, red dress. Gentlemen, it's tougher though not impossible to wear red. Again, you can also wear a beautiful sweater. But most realtors that I know anyway wear suits. And so, like I'd mentioned before, as long as there's high contrast. So if you're in a dark suit and you're up against like a dark wall, or there's not a lot of color behind you, that won't work as well as if you're wearing dark clothing, that you want to be in either bright sunshine, or you want to be against a white backdrop or some very, very light backdrop. Okay, so but red is the most important one because it's the color we see first, and so it's what stands out most in the news feed. So if you had two competing videos, one had a lot of red in it and the other one didn't, our eyes would automatically be drawn more to the red. Not even that it's more interesting, it's just more colorful, and it's one that our brains register first, and so that's why they work. So there you go, a little bit of science. As I just mentioned, if you are doing a video, so a video for an ad should really not be more than 15 seconds long total, which is very, very short. So 15, maybe 30 seconds. But in that short period of time, do not waste the first few seconds introducing yourself, okay? Because people have a very, very short attention span, and in Facebook, it's about 3 seconds that people will take to determine whether or not they want to continue watching or keep on going. And just so you guys know, when you're looking at your results, so next week we're going to be pulling apart how to do ads analysis. So how long did people watch your video and so on. When you're running a video, you're going to see a stat called a video view. A view is considered anyone who watched more than 3 seconds of your video, which really isn't that long. So again, with such a short amount of time available to capture people's interest, and in such a busy place like the news feed, you want to spend the first 3 seconds doing something that is memorable and that's going to make them lean in. So you want to start your video with a question or a concern that you're going to be addressing, right? So if you're talking about downsizers, right? You can start off with, as a downsizer. So again, now you're identifying who you're talking to. As a downsizer, your primary concern is probably going to be something along the lines of wanting to make the most money out of the home you're selling against the one that you're buying, but also making sure that where you go to is going to be a good fit. Boom. Okay, you've identified the person, so they're leaning in. You've identified the key problems for those people, they're super leaning in. And then you can go on and you can say, I'm so and so from Remax Center, and I'm going to be I have this solution, and you can talk about it a little bit there. Generally speaking, 15 to 30 seconds is not going to be long enough for you to actually deliver this solution. So if you are going to be using a video in your ad, what I usually do is recommend that you have it be brief, be awesome, like you can see on that last point on this slide, but lead them somewhere else. So either you're going to be sending them a report that promises whatever you talked about in your video, or you create a landing page or somewhere on your website that houses maybe a longer video that explains a little bit more about what you are talking about. A great opportunity, because there's a lot of confusion out there, is about these new mortgage rules that are coming in. I don't know if some of you guys are connected with me on Facebook, but I asked that question a couple of weeks ago, and wow, it was a very interesting back and forth and a lot of confusion, even among realtors, about what these new rules actually mean and what do they apply to. Like, I asked a simple question of, what do I have to have done by December 31st in order for me to not have to adhere to these new rules? Do I have to have an offer in? Can I just get pre-approved? Lots of confusion about that. And so, it's a grand opportunity to create maybe, a 2 to 3 minute video that you stick on your website, and you draw people to that video by creating a video ad on Facebook saying, are you concerned about it's something like, are you thinking of buying in the spring and you're concerned about these new mortgage rules? Well, I can explain it to you. Just click below and come join the conversation. Great, away they go to your website, fall in love with you, and just remember that at the bottom of that video, make sure there's a form for them to fill out so that they can get in touch with you to find out more about how amazingly awesome you are at explaining these very complicated rules. So that is one example of how you can take current events, mortgage rule changes, and turn it into a video ad that entices people, draws them in, and sends them somewhere. Your website, it could be, again, another little landing page, or a report, again, depending on what it is that you're offering, that will explain it to them a little bit more. So like I said, I love video ads. That's why I'm spending so much time talking to you guys about it, because I know there's a huge obstacle or objection in your brains to overcome to do it, but it is the future of marketing, and the sooner you guys embrace it, the easier it's going to be for you to take advantage of the new wave of marketing that's coming down. Okay, so like I said, if you have a longer message, you can do it in episodes. So another thing that you can do is you can have your little teaser video, and then instead of sending them to a landing page, you can send them a series of videos. And I think the example I gave when I talked to you guys was like first-time home buyers. And one thing first-time home buyers really desperately need is education. And so your teaser video, your ad video, could be something like, if buying your first home is making you, keeping you up at night, or if you think you're going to have to live off burnt toast and peanut butter for a year just to afford the down payment, join in and I'll send you, a 7-week series that of, first-time home buyers guidance, survival guide. And what you can do, and this will require some email automation, you can just every week, once a week, send them a little email with a link to a video or a report. Again, if you don't like doing video, it's okay. But something that will help them to gain information and education about what it means to buy their first home. Okay, so quick question over here I see in the question box. Oh, someone wants me to explain a thumbnail. Of course, I'm so sorry. So a thumbnail, I'm actually going to go back. Oops, nope, went too far. Okay, so if this is a video, you'll see that the little circle is all the way at the beginning. So if a video does not autoplay, okay, so and videos on Facebook do, but if they don't autoplay, the thumbnail is the first screen, right? So let's imagine that this was not autoplaying and I see this in my newsfeed. Is the first screen, the first sort of, I don't even know, I keep calling these things thumbnails, I don't know whatever other words to use, but the image that we see, once you hit play, then the rest of the video will play. So a thumbnail is what you see first before the video actually plays. Okay, so at the end of the station has a question regarding adding an action button. Yes, absolutely. I might be able to answer that question during my session today, but if I haven't answered it, Bob, I will absolutely stay afterwards and answer your question. Okay. Good questions, guys. If you can add subtitles, I find this is a bit of a hit and miss. Sometimes it's there and then sometimes it's not. I'm not entirely sure why Facebook is making it available to add subtitles. There are ways for you to create some external files that will create subtitles for your videos. But if you have the option to add, it's either called captions or subtitles, Facebook changes the name, do add to it. And the other thing to remember about this, regardless of your topic or your level of experience, super polished Hollywood style videos are not necessary. I've gotten more from little shots I've taken holding my phone in my hand in my backyard, as much as I have with done my more professional videos. So you don't need a huge budget. It doesn't have to be long. It just needs to be really keeping your customer in mind, answering a question, or providing the opportunity for them to seek you out as the solution provider to whatever it is they're looking for. If I have a listing, I want you to sell my home quickly at top dollar. If I'm buying, I want you to also help me find a home quickly, but at the best price. And you can keep on going from there. So as long as you can say, who am I going after and what do they need most, you're on the right path to creating an amazing ad for yourself. Your message will be absolutely bang on. So the last thing I want to say about video ads is have good sound. Make sure people can hear you. Make sure people can see you. The best lighting is outside lighting, natural lighting. Try to avoid being stuck in a dark room. Like a boardroom is usually the worst place because there's usually horrible sound and the lighting's worse. Do look directly at the camera. Okay, you don't want to look over to the side. You don't want to, okay, I will give you one little out. If looking directly at the camera totally and absolutely creeps you out, you can, if you want, have maybe someone stand just to the right of the camera and talk to them. Because as long as you're not looking either just ever so slightly left or slightly right, but you're looking like full left, full right, almost like it's in an interview style, sometimes that can be okay as well. I will say looking directly at the camera is more engaging, but you do want to position yourself in either the left third or the right third of the frame. Try to avoid being dead center because people find that a little bit on the aggressive side. I don't know why, but that is what it is. Okay, so try to stand a little bit over to one side or the other of your frame. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to spend the remaining about 15-20 minutes going live. So I'm going to go back into Facebook and hope that nothing weird's going on there, as is my wanton Facebook. Oh look, can't be weird, it's you guys. Woot woot. Okay, so if you recall from last week when we talked about how we go and get ads, you log into your Facebook. That's your regular Facebook. You don't have to be on your page. And you go down to create ads. Now I have to do one extra step. So if you'll just bear with me, I've got to skip on over to my other business manager account. And I do this because I'm an agency. So I manage stuff on behalf of my clients. And so therefore I have to do that. Okay. So if you remember all these wonderful places, these are the different ads that you can use. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a traffic ad, and I'm not going to go over the targeting. We did all that last week. And I'm just going to hop all the way down to the ad creation. Okay, so last week we covered this middle box. We talked about traffics and audiences and budgets and stuff like that. And today we're going to be talking about formatting. So one of the things that I do is before I come in here, I will now I have to find my account. There we go. I will create an ad in Facebook. Okay, so I'll create my ad in Facebook so that I know exactly what it is I want to say. I can kind of mess around with it a little bit, play with the wording. Sometimes I show it to my team. And the reason I do that is, and I'm not entirely sure you can do it now, you used to not be able to save. Yeah, I'm not too sure Facebook's going to let you save an ad. So if you create an ad, but you don't actually execute it, there's a chance that you actually won't be able to save your work. And so because of that, I like to do my ads in Word. So I will create the ad over there. Now, once you come in here, you can see you have multiple different options available to you. Carousel, single image, which is the default, it's also the most common, single video, slideshow, and then collection. I promised at the beginning that I would share with you a really awesome multi-listing strategy that I have used very successfully in the past. So for those of you who have multiple listings, you can use this strategy. What I do is I use what's called a carousel. So especially with a traffic ad, so I'm just going to set this up for you. So a traffic ad means that each one of these images, you can have up to 3 to 10 images. Each one of these images can be redirected to a different URL. So if you have your website and you have 123 Main Street, and then 456 Main Street, and then 789 Main Street, you can import each one into this carousel, and I'll show you how to do it in a second. And then you can put some details on a little headline underneath it. And so that when people click on this, they go to that specific listing. And I've used this for teams whereby so there's like a team lead and then a whole bunch of other people on the team. And when the listing is set up on the website, that listing on the website also links to individual agents, right? So this listing would be, if they go to the website, would go to agent A. Whereas if someone clicked on this listing and it goes to the website, if they say, okay, yeah, I want more information, it would go to agent B. Okay, so again, depending on how big your team is or how complicated or simple, this is a really good strategy. Now, the reason you want to do this, instead of creating individual listing ads, okay, so let's say you put $100 against one listing and then $100 against another listing and then $100 against another listing. You can continuously run a carousel ad with all of your current listings, and then you can remove some and you can add new ones, and the ad never stops. And particularly with a traffic ad, the longer that you run them, and especially if you refresh them with new information and new data, the better your ad is ultimately going to do. So instead of spending $300 against 3 different listings, you can spend $200 against 10 listings. So you consolidate your budget, and yet you're still able to promote all of your listings, and people can still select each individual listing that they're interested in, right? They can scroll through them. So if you scroll down here, what you would do is you would upload image 1, so house 123 Main Street, and then you can add some details. So you can see what it looks like over here on the right. So we can do 123 Main Street. Okay, say we want to say Oakville. We're going to see how that looks on the right there. So you can see what that looks like. You can add a short description and then the destination URL. Yay! If I can type it in, consulting.ca. Woo, doo, doo, doo. Okay, so that's the destination URL. Okay, so then when you're done this one, you simply go to the second one. So this could be 456 Main Street, and you enter in all the same information again. And if you want to change the URL, you simply change the URL here. So let's assume that your ad is running, and you say, great, 123 Main Street has sold, so I no longer want to have it on my homes for sale carousel traffic ad that you're running, you would simply go into your ads manager. And again, I'll show you how to do this next week. So you go into your ads manager, you would open this ad, and you would simply hit remove. If you wanted to, conversely, you wanted to add one in, you would simply hit the plus button and then just throw in the new one. So from a multiple listing perspective, that strategy I just shared with you is the most economical. It's very, very successful. Super, super killer cheap. On average, the cost per click for traffic ads anywhere from 25 to 50 cents, maybe 75. For these ones, you'll get it as low as like 3 cents. It's like ridiculous because everyone loves listings. You're running it continuously, so the algorithm gets stronger. You're always adding new and fresh data to it, and you're keeping it relevant. And that's just like one big like love fest for Facebook. Okay, so I wanted to share with you that strategy. Works great as well for open houses. It also works well for solds. It works well for pretty well if you have multiples of anything, if you have blogs or you have multiple videos that you want to be able to drive people to, right? You can have like best blogs of 2017 if you're a blogger. And lots of ways you can use that the multiple strategy. The most common one though is going to be the single image. Okay, so I'm just going to use that as an example. So you can also do single video. You can do a slideshow. So a slideshow is different from a carousel in so much that a carousel, each one of these cards can go to a different URL. With a slideshow, it only goes to one URL. Okay, so that's the only big difference. I don't like collection. They're ones you can build yourself. You can put like buttons and text and videos and a whole bunch of stuff. I've never found them working very well. It used to be called Canvas. Now they're calling it's new. It's called Collection. No, it's not. It's the same thing with a different name. But I haven't had a lot of success with it, certainly not in the real estate world. It's really good for like retail when you have a lot of products that you're trying to sell. But even even if you have like multiple listings, I just don't see it as being as effective as carousel or even single image. I would use these ones. Okay, so we're gonna do single image and we're gonna scroll down. Now this is kind of cool. So I use Shutterstock, iStock, Stocksy, and a bunch of others as well, but they cost money. You don't have to spend any money if you don't want to. I'm picky, so I do. But what you can do is hit the free stock images and then type in anything. You can type in home exterior. And what it's going to do is it'll bring up a whole bunch of different home exteriors. And so you can go through and you can find the ones that kind of look like that. Does not look like anywhere around here. So you can find like that's a beautiful interior. Now the only problem with this one is it's very white and gray and bleh. It does have that fire in the middle, so that might be able to save the image, but just keep that in mind. Whereas something like this with like that is like super saturated. When I say super saturated images, that's what I mean. That blue is almost looks like it's been photoshopped. Whereas something like this is very sort of, I want to say call it dull, but yeah, I guess it's kind of dull. So you want bright images as much as you can. If you can find like this one here, I know it probably doesn't look well, depending on what kind of properties you guys are selling, you might have some country homes that might look like this, right? So you've got those beautiful bright fall colors in the background. And so those can work really well. You can choose, if you wanted to, a series of images. So if you wanted to choose, hello Facebook, come on, chose that one and say we want to choose this one because we think it's really pretty. And maybe that one. I'm just going to choose a couple. You can choose up to 6. Now, the only problem that I have with choosing multiple images is that Facebook runs them all at once and it lets the algorithm choose which one people respond to the most. In my mind, they're cannibalizing each other. So I prefer a testing strategy whereby you can still use these 3 images, but you run one for a week, and then you run another one for another week, and then you run, say if you're running 3, you run a third for the 3rd week, and then you look at each of those individual results and see independently which one got the ultimate better result, better performance. Okay, but if you're in a rush or if you just want to try it anyway, you can, like I said, do up to 6 images. So I'm just going to choose one, choose done, and then please do this extra little step. Not all images are sized perfectly for Facebook ads. So you can see you can move it up, or you can move it down, right? So if you want more of the wall, or if you want more of the trees, right? Whatever floats your boat. And again, the most important reason for this is, especially if you take a picture of yourselves and it's a square picture and you accidentally forget to come in here and move it away from just your midsection so it's all zippers, like that one example I shared with you guys where that actually happened, you could possibly not quite have the image show as you want it to. All right, so you choose your image. Because this is the traffic ad, you're going to have to say, where do you want this to go? Right, so I'm just going to do tisconsulting.ca. There we go. That's where I want it to go. And all it's going to be optimizing over here on the right. One of the things, so the default view that you're going to see here is the mobile newsfeed. If you click on that, you'll be able to see it in all of the other ways that you have chosen. If you remember 2 weeks ago, I said make sure you edit your placements. So you say, do you want it to happen on the right column? Do you want it to show in the news feeds or what have you? Always, always, always optimize to the mobile newsfeed because 90% of people are going to be engaging with it on their phones. So you want it to, if you want it to look perfect in one particular format, this is the one that you want to have it work for. Okay. Your headline, again, it should be something like, if this is a new listing, you can say, not my favorite, a new listing, or you can put, home for sale. Okay. If you are offering something like a report or something that's helpful, you can put it here, free report or what have you, and then add something in here. Usually what you're going to add next is something that is meaningful to them, something that's going to show the outcome being extremely positive, right? So free reports, make the most money. Obviously you can't say that, because just saying something straight out like that, but it would be profit the most from the sale of your home, which you got to be careful. And the reason I'm keeping it super short is if I put in more words, right? So if you sale of your home, I put that in there. Let's see if it fits. Nope, doesn't fit. And so if you're writing something like this and it is too long, see if there's a way for you to maybe you can take out the word free and just leave the word report. See if that can add enough space. Maybe mess around with some of the wording, but you really want that mobile newsfeed to look perfect. So we're almost there. But again, anyway, I'm not going to keep on going with this. You get the point. The text at the top, so this is where, if we go back to this presentation really quickly, I'm just going to go back to, whoa, okay, slow down, keepers. I use this one as an example. So if we look at this one, this is where we have the get more listings with these 3 strategies. This is where you put your words. Now, here's a word of caution. If you are targeting a younger generation, okay, so I'm not even going to give an age because I'll get in trouble with somebody. So let's just go. We're going after millennials. You should use fewer words, simpler words, and you should also use emojis, right? So you can say first-time home buyer. Okay, remember that's okay because we didn't say, are you a first-time home buyer? Get the education you need to, make the best buying decision. That's actually fairly lame because it's not really exciting, but you get the point. So the first time home buyer, so again, they're going to lean in, and then you have your offer. So if you have a free report, you would say that up here, but essentially you want to keep it nice and simple. If you have a Mac, and again, for those of you who don't have a Mac, I have a link I will put into the group so that you can get emojis. If you have a Mac, you can do Control Command Spacebar. You hold those 3 things down. And now we have all of the emojis. So you can do the thumbs up, right? So that would be a good one to use. You can use maybe the house if you want to do that. If you're adding your phone number, right? So click below or call me at 555-1212. You can also use the little telephone emoji, right? So those kinds of things. And the reason why you want to do that is they had color, right? And one of the major things you're trying to do in the news feed is to attract people with color. Adding in emojis can be good. What I find, however, is that older demographics and very much so sophisticated. So if you're going after a luxury market, I probably wouldn't use emojis, but definitely if you're going after a younger demographic, especially first-time home buyers, even first move-ups, anyone kind of in those kinds of times of life, emojis tend to be an okay thing to add. All right, so again, you don't need this to be very long. When you're going after an older demographic, you can use more words. They do like to have a little bit more detail. They like to have a little bit more information before they go through and then complete the process. The last thing here is you've got call to action button. So you can choose no button, which you should never do. And then there's a bunch of other ones here that, quite frankly, you should never use. Learn more is the one you want to use. The only other one I've seen used with some success is send message. Whichever one of these ones you use, especially if you send message, make sure you put in here in your text something that says click and then in quotes send message below, right? So here's an example, click send message below, okay, or call me at 555-1212. That way you've got, and especially if people see this on their mobile device, that phone number will become a live link that people can click directly from your ad and give you a call. They don't have to do anything else. If they don't want to call you directly, which most people will not want to do just because a lot of cases they don't know you, they can choose send message and they can communicate with you one-on-one. So remember, if you're going to use send message, make sure that you have access to your business inbox and you are tracking and keeping track of any of the messages that come in. Last thing you want to have happen is someone sends you a message and then you don't get to it for 3 days. Right? Because guaranteed dollars and donuts, they're not going to still be there. Generally speaking, the faster you can get back to people, the better. So that's basically the setup for an ad. There are literally hundreds of thousands of type of ads that you can run, but in the Facebook group, I'm just going to point it out to you because there are examples in the Facebook group. Remax, Facebook Awesomeness. I'm just going to point this out to you guys because it's important for you. If anyone is thinking of doing an ad, obviously, like I try to be as supportive as I possibly can. This one right here, free Facebook ad templates, please read it. Like, launch that sucker, open it up. It's got great templates in it, gives you some great ideas. If you have a specific type of an ad that you want to run after today, say, Rebecca, I really want to run a listing ad, but I'm like totally lost on how to structure it. Let me know. What I'm going to try to do over the next 24 hours or so is put as many templates into this group as I can that I have run myself. Obviously, I'm going to strip out any of the specifics that I ran for my clients, but I want to give you guys some ideas. So the first place to start is here. Okay, so there's some great ad templates. The second place is also just to go over the presentation that I gave you today on the structure of the ads in terms of words. I'm going to give you guys the power words that you should use so that you always are using the right verbiage to get people to take action. So ultimately, at the end of the day, my main goal for you is to achieve success. Ads are complicated. And I'm like, there's no if, ands, or buts. They're really, really complicated. And I want to make sure that you have all of the support possible. So this is a great place to start. If you're like, okay, Rebecca, I'm like in the zone. You're going to go back to your desk and you're like, yeah, I'm going to like nail this thing. This is a great place to start if you're not too sure, if you want to have some ideas. I always love getting ideas. Please do reach out to me, okay? You can tag me. You can see people tag me in here all the time. Ask me questions. I will answer. I try to be really, really fast at getting back to you guys. If you don't want to make yours public, you can private message me. You can see someone's already private messaging me over here, and I will get back to you and support you. Okay, so that concludes today. And I know Bob, I think it was Bob. I believe Bob is the one who asked me to take him off mute because someone had a question about call to action buttons. So Bob, you are live.
Okay, hi. Rita's got a question about how to add, she just bring your computer over now, how to add the action button.
Can you send her a picture?
No.
Which one? What are you trying to add, hon?
Oh,
The action buttons, I don't have them on my main screen.
Are you talking
And
about like? Hang on a second. I just want to make sure. I'm just making sure that I'm understanding what it is that you can't get. Like these things here?
Yes, I don't have them.
Really? Okay. When you created your page, so if you go to your About section on your page, I don't know if you can do this now, what page type did you use? Like, did you use a local business?
I believe so. Yes.
That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Well, you know what? That would be something I could probably help you with sort of off after. Are you available after the today's session?
Yes, I could be.
Okay, if you want, what I can do is I can just hop on a quick go-to meeting with you, and I can take a look at your page and we can work it out.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Okay, so if you could do me a solid, if you could, are you part of the group? Are you part of the Facebook Fundamentals group?
Yes.
Okay,
I am.
message me from the group and give me your email address, and I'll send you a go-to meeting link. Because I'll have to basically either log in as you, or you'd have to share your screen. And I'm sure as much as you want to show like absolutely everybody your login and password, you probably don't. Okay.
Just type in my email.
Join the group.
Okay, Bob. Any other questions on your end?
No, I think we're good.
You think you're good? Okay, I'll put you on mute. I know Charlotte's got one. Charlotte, I've got your question here, but I'll take you off mute too. Do you have any recommendations on what type of equipment to use for lighting or microphones? Oh, I love to go to, because everyone's got a different video system, right? I have an old camcorder that I use, but I also use my phone. You can get lapel mics from Henry's. They're extremely helpful. Now, one thing I have found is that, excuse me, I've sent people to Henry's to get lapel mics, and they've tried to use it on their phones, and it hasn't worked. So what I would recommend is go to someone like Henry's. There's also another great one in Mississauga. Oh, I want to call it like AVT or something, that have lapel mics that can really help you with your sound. But most often, like I do videos just holding my phone, and I just honestly use a like the free Apple iPhone ear headphones you get. I just use those because they have a microphone in them, and the sound is just as fine. Or I'm close enough to my phone or to my computer, whatever I'm using, that actually works fairly well. But usually for any AV kind of stuff, I would definitely not consider myself an expert on all the different video options, but the folks at Henry's are really good at being able to direct people on that one. And for lighting, you can get lighting kits. They can be really expensive, but there's some pretty cool ones out there. And again, Henry's would be able to, they have the best quality stuff that's not going to break down. It's not cheap. And depending on what kind of videos you're planning on doing, because again, there's 1,000 options, they'll be able to direct you best. Does that help? Sort of.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
What about, like, I tried making my first video, but turning it on and turning it off is a problem. And I, like you had said, try looking at the camera, but I was trying to read a page that I had sort of beside the camera. And it did show very obviously that I was looking off to the side. But
Right.
how do you start and stop your video without obviously reaching up and hitting the button? Am I missing something, or is there something?
Selfie stick?
Yes, because of the selfie stick.
Yes.
Selfie stick?
Yeah.
Because the button is stick.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have a selfie stick, so I didn't know that.
Yep, you can get selfie sticks kind of like everywhere, and they can be fairly inexpensive. One that where was he from? I want to say his name is Patrick, and he's super into technology. And we geeked out before the presentation. I think he's in the Kitchener area. Anyway, I could be wrong. Sorry, Patrick, if I've got it wrong. But the gimbal, that's it's kind of like a selfie stick, but it's got like a button that like right at your thumb that you can start and stop, and it's got like motion control. You get it on Amazon, and I believe it's like $200. To be honest, I'm going to go get one for myself. I keep forgetting to go get it, but it's going to be, woo, Christmas, because that will overcome the problem. Because I have the same problem, because I don't have one of those selfie sticks either. And what I have to do is actually import it into iMovie, and I edit it in iMovie, and then and it's a pain in the butt. So, you get something, either a simple selfie stick that has a little button. Almost all of them come with it now. Or you can upgrade if you want something that's a little bit, will also keep the phone steady, because not all stick things, will keep it steady. Whereas something that, there's one called Smove, so it's SMOVE. and then obviously the gimbal, which is I think GIMBLE.com. Those will also work for you as well. Okay.
Thanks.
Awesome. No problem. Any other questions on your end, Charlotte?
Nope,
Nope.
I don't
you guys
think
are good.
so.
Okie dokers. All right, I'm just gonna do a quick round robin. Heather, I'll try Heather. I'm gonna try you and see if that brings you on without a horrible echo. Hello. Oh, or maybe this is the one that has no sound. All right, Heather. Maybe you can let me know if you have any questions, hon. And Ivana, if you can let me know if you have any questions. Jenny, I'm gonna come and bring you on. Any questions on your end, Jenny?
I think we're all good here. Thanks, Rebecca.
You're good. Excellent. Awesome. Okay, and Heather is good. Great. And Louise, one of these has sound, one of them doesn't. Try the first one. Louise? Nope. Okay. Go ahead. All right, Louise, if you can also let me know if you are good as well. I don't believe we have any more questions. And if not, so what I'm going to go do is I'm going to render this, render the recording and put all that stuff over into the group. So in the group, I see a bunch of people asking to join. Fantastic. I will accept you immediately. I'm going to put the 317 power words. I'm also going to put that link in for the emojis for those of you who use PC and don't use Apple. And then again, if there's anything else I can think of that will be helpful to you guys, any templates that I can think I can share with you, I'll post directly to the group.